Hi, guys, it's Sarah, and welcome back to TLC Next Updates. Today, we're stripping away the veil on the weird expectations around giving birth in some families. And believe me, it's not just candles and soft music. Let's dive in. Let's begin with the so-called silent birth expectation. You know, the one in which women are expected to remain quiet during childbirth so as to be more godlike or respectful. Robin, for example, has asserted that remaining silent during childbirth is a means of showing respect for God. Now, as one who's personally experienced unmedicated labor, let me assure you, remaining silent while pushing a tiny human out of your body? Almost impossible. You attempt to whisper through that sort of pain. Good luck. But here's where it gets even weirder. Robin supposedly kept her cool throughout labor. And sure, on the surface that sounds wonderful, but the specifics are where it gets creepy. Her stepfather, a man she knew hardly at all, was in the delivery room, next to the bed, observing everything, not hovering by her head for support, not comforting her. Nope, he had front row seats like he was attending a live performance. And no one seems to raise an eyebrow. When I accompanied a friend during birth, I made sure to keep my gaze fixed on her face, to provide her with dignity and room. During my own birth, there were family members there, but no one went down there until it was completely necessary. That amount of closeness from a stepfather? That's more than awkward. It's just off. And then there's Kody. Oh boy. Kody chose to give the delivery room a visit for his daughter Maddie's birth. Sounds like a good guy, huh? But not so much when he's screaming, "I see the head," as if he's talking about the Super Bowl. That's not nice. That's not romantic. That's just downright gross. And don't forget the edited birth scenes. We're told Robin had a silent birth, even when her daughter Ariella was born breech with a broken collarbone. Anyone who knows anything about labor knows how excruciating that must have been. Yet not a peep? Sounds more like the production team muted the reality to fit some kind of perfect mom narrative. Because we've all seen Robin lose her temper before. Remember when she screamed, "I don't give a shit"? Yeah, that wasn't really heavenly. This quiet birth ideal is like a show, a means of image crafting, a control mechanism. Women are not supposed to be silenced in labor to accommodate men. That's not power, that's oppression. And it gets worse when you look at the way women are treated compared to the way Kody responds to his own discomfort. Let's discuss Kody's so-called near-death experience. He had a 99-degree fever, practically an insignificant tick on the thermometer, and yet he theatrically insisted on having seen the Grim Reaper. His daughter, meanwhile, was in the hospital for a real surgery, and he didn't even bother attending. That's not insensitive, it's outright hypocritical. Kody appears to be highly invested in his own drama, but refusing to pay attention to anyone else's needs or suffering. If he ever had to endure childbirth or even a menstrual cramp, he'd have a nervous breakdown. Honestly, the image of him connected to one of those cramp simulators would be the joke of the year. This guy's definition of masculinity? It's emotional leeching masquerading as leadership. He's not an alpha male. He's an alpha meltdown. But the dysfunction does not end with the adults. Let's discuss Robin's daughters and the supposedly busy lives they live. In a recent episode, Robin protested that her older daughters are overwhelmed with college, dinner routines, and bedtime. But wait, whose bedtime are we discussing here? Adult daughters tucking themselves into bed? Or are they taking care of the little ones and Robin doing? What exactly? It's difficult to comprehend that these young women have actual responsibilities beyond the home. There is no mention of passions, jobs, sports, or ambitions. Only an endless cycle of caretaking and emotional caretaking. It doesn't look like independence. It looks more like grooming, preparing them for a life of submission and domesticity. And here's the sad truth. Robin's raising them to be exactly what Kody wants: compliant, dependent, and invisible to the outside world. The kind of men attracted to emotionally stunted, sheltered young women? Rarely the healthy kind. We're not talking about love stories here. We're talking about future power imbalances waiting to happen. Robin may think she's protecting them, but in reality, she's trapping them. Because ultimately, all that matters to her is Kody's acceptance, not her daughter's futures, not their aspirations, not their autonomy, just ensuring they're compliant enough for the next installment of this creepy family drama. There is a disturbing trend here, one that reveals Robin to be both a player and a product of this dysfunctional process. At first glance, she's just another woman who's fallen into Kody's trap. But make no mistake about it, she's not just a victim. Either by design or by manipulation, she's joined him fully, acting as if he's a prize to be waited on and guarded. And doing that, she's contributed to the problem. Her daughter's futures are slipping quietly through the cracks. While Robin says they're busy working on boutique orders, being in college, and taking part in summer music camps, the reality is more disturbing. None of the girls seem to work outside the family sphere. They aren't making careers, networking, or learning valuable life lessons. In reality, you never see them at industry parties or even socializing with other reality celebrities. Their social lives are constricted, highly regulated, and completely reliant on parents. They're being raised in a bubble of perpetual adolescence. Robin is adamant her younger children still need heavy bedtime regimens. Yet Solomon is 13 already, and Ariella is almost 9. At that point, most children are gaining autonomy. But not so here. Robin has always relied on others to assist with parenting, whether Kody or outside assistance such as a nanny, even during COVID's peak, when nobody was going out of the house. Now it appears those responsibilities have slipped silently onto the shoulders of her elder daughters, while Robin fades into obscurity. Let's call a spade a spade. Accusing older girls of being too busy with dinner and bedtime to have jobs or social lives is a joke. What it actually amounts to is arrested development, young women being trained to remain dependent, sheltered, and secluded from society. The bedtime chore is more of a euphemism than an explanation. And even the college claim rings a little hollow. Millions of full-time students balance classes, work, and vibrant social lives. But in this household, no work, no friends outside the family, and definitely no hints of independent adulthood. Rather than encouraging development, Robin appears fixated on maintaining this fragile, dependent system where she is still at the center, and Kody is still in charge. In the meantime, Kody is the martyr, the reluctant patriarch who shoulders the emotional and fiscal responsibility for a large family. In fact, this family isn't doing well. It's barely in one piece under the strain of old-school customs and an inability to change. The younger children seem to be headed down the same road unless they do something different. And this leads us to the harsh reality hardly ever discussed polygamous households. How love, with time, can turn to control. How passion can turn into icy remoteness. You see it best in the relationship between Kody and his son Gabe. If you've seen season 16, episode 9, then you know precisely what I'm referring to. Seeing that fight between Kody and Gabe was to see emotional neglect unfold before one's eyes. Gabe is just a young man yearning to be with his family, attempting to unite his family, even speaking of Janelle and Christine in a mediator type of way. But rather than listen to him, Kody gets all defensive and combative, screaming about Janelle in front of her son. It was heartless, childish, and devastating. Kody didn't present himself as a father. He presented himself as a man who had to win a fight. His love is cold, conditional, and wholly a function of his current feeling about the child's mother. If one wife falls from grace, her children do as well. And then he'll ask why the family is breaking apart. Perhaps the reason is the speed with which he makes those he professes to love feel expendable. Gabe was Kody's little sidekick once, his little man, always attached at the hip. But when Kody got himself a new wife and had additional children, the older ones were gradually edged out, particularly the boys. Because when those boys get older and become big, confident men, they're no longer so easy to manipulate. They become competition. And that is something Kody's delicate ego just can't cope with. What we're seeing here isn't just one man's failure. It's a system of emotional manipulation and control that harms everyone involved. Kody didn't just drift away from his original wives. He abandoned them emotionally, gaslighted them, and played the victim when they finally began to speak out. And this is the emotional undertow that propels the disintegration of the Brown family. A father who cannot bear change, a mother who holds on to control, children who are either silenced or hindered, and a future that resembles more of a prison than a legacy. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, Kody sinks to an all-time low, complaining about betrayal as if he's the victim. Meanwhile, he just stands there, utterly amazed that his older children are offended. But how wouldn't they be? He took sides. He played favorites. He made it starkly obvious whose family was more important. So when Kody says, "I have a house," and Janelle responds with, "Well, they're not welcome there," the punch hits. That one exchange puts it all into perspective. The children did not walk away from him. He made the initial move. Now he's upset that they didn't run after him. Typical Kody, playing victim when he was the one who emotionally abandoned them. And this favoritism, it's nothing new. Take it all the way back to season 3. Gabe and Garrison were having a fight. What did Kody do about it? Nothing. He lashed a Christmas tree to the roof and left Janelle to do it herself. Mary? She loaded every house on her own while the boys assisted Robin. Kody appeared, inquired how long, then simply walked away like it didn't concern him. The only one who was getting help all the time? Robin. Every single time. Whether it's because she has the guts to ask or because Kody simply puts her first, it's clear where his focus is. The Browns may have received money and fame from the show, but the women received clarity, a platform to observe who Kody actually was. A self-centered, egoist man who should never have been a husband, much less a polygamist. And the tragedy? Garrison actually died in real life. Kody attended the memorial, but while Garrison was here, fighting, in need of connection, Kody was nowhere to be found. That wasn't couldn't. That was wouldn't. He elected to keep himself apart. Elected ego. Elected being right over being present. That ain't fathering. That's cowardice. And Gabe? Still open to forgiveness. Still hoping against hope. But with Kody, love is conditional. If you weren't born to the golden wife, you're on the outside looking in. When Gabe needed a hug, Kody had cold COVID regulations. Not due to safety. Due to narcissism. The moment that there is criticism or tension, Kody shuts down, spins the narrative, and paints himself as the victim. He's not merely a bad dad or weak partner. He's a walking contradiction. The tragic anti-hero of his own crumbling narrative. But if Kody is the most lazy link in the chain, wait until you meet his match. Robin, a woman who avoids responsibility with Olympic finesse. There's always an excuse why she can't assist. A bad back, a sudden sickness, a conflict with schedules. When Janelle trained for a 5K, Robin dropped out, citing her back. Therapy with the other wives? She wasn't well. Packing and relocating? Robin floated along like a manager, having others do the brunt of the work. She even said she should have made her older children assist with planning her own wedding. She married into polygamy for the free labor, not love or religion. And Kody's the same way. He trots around like a foreman, but doesn't do the work himself. In one move, he led the kids into unpacking assistance by staging a pretend family gathering. 10 minutes at Robin's, and the other families had left. Why? Because her home was mayhem. Decorations still intact, pantry packed, no prep work whatsoever. Yet Robin was expecting all other households to lend a hand. Remember, she has 3 older children and a nanny doing the real work. When parties and holiday planning are concerned, Robin hardly ever shows. While Mary, Christine, and the teen girls were cooking, decorating, making memories, Robin wants to be applauded without the effort. And when life gets tough, she cries. She's sick. She withdraws. Her cooking? Almost non-existent. Kody's told her she was too pretty to cook. Translation? She sucks at it. Their fast food-filled fridge tells the truth. Robin even used her dream business as a way to get out of having more kids, saying it was just too much work. But she had no problem keeping Mary from returning to college, telling her she needed assistance. Assistance with what? Shopping? Decorating? Being loved while someone else did the work? Even Mary's ski accident and family funerals couldn't budge Robin from her bubble. She was always in time for what she desired, but never arrived when it counted. And this is the crux of it all. Robin and Kody want others to bear the emotional and physical load while they just get to sit back and pretend to be innocents. They make the mess, then want the OG wives to clean up after them, time and time again. And then you think things can't get any worse. And Kody Brown goes and hits a new low, complaining about betrayal like he's the victim here, while he stands there utterly bewildered that his older children are upset with him. But in all seriousness, how wouldn't they be? He took sides. He was choosing favorites. He made it excruciatingly obvious which family he cared about most. So when Kody smugly says, "I have a house," and Janelle fires back, "Well, they're not welcome there," it lands like a punch to the gut. That single moment says everything. The kids didn't walk away. He pushed them. And now he's bitter. They didn't come crawling back. Classic Kody, playing the victim in a mess he created. But this favoritism? It's not new. Go all the way back to season 3. Gabe and Garrison got into a fight. What did Kody do? He did nothing. He tied a Christmas tree to the roof and left Janelle to handle it. Mary? She packed her house by herself while the boys were working with Robin. Kody swung by, asked how long this would take, and left. No warmth, no support, just indifference. The only one who ever got assistance? Robin. Always. Whether she asked for it or not, Kody appeared, for her. The Browns were provided with money and a spotlight by the show. But the show provided the women with something much greater: clarity. An opportunity to truly view who Kody was. A self-centered, egotistical individual who shouldn't have been a husband, much less a polygamist. And the actual tragedy? In life, Garrison died. Kody attended the memorial. But where was he prior to that? When Garrison was alive, battling, and all he needed was his dad, Kody was nowhere. That wasn't a question of couldn't. That was wouldn't. He opted for ego over love, space over effort. And that ain't fatherhood. That's cowardice. And Gabe? He's still hopeful, still willing to make up. But Kody's love is conditional. If you weren't born to the favorite wife, you're second class. When Gabe wanted a hug, Kody handed him chilly COVID regulations. Not for safety, for control. That is not a father boundary. That is narcissism. The moment there's friction, Kody checks out, turns the tables, and plays the victim. He's not merely a failed father. He's a contradiction walking. The tragic anti-hero in a tale where he believes he's the honorable protagonist, even as the world around him unravels. But if you think Kody's the slackest link in the chain, just wait until you see his match made in heaven. Robin. A woman who evades responsibility like it's her job. There's always an excuse. A sore back, a sudden bout of illness, a therapy session she just can't attend. When Janelle trained for a 5K, Robin flaked. When it was time to relocate, she floated around like a supervisor, observing everyone else sweat. She even said she should have had her older children prepare for her wedding. Who does that? It's like she married into polygamy, not for faith, not for love, but for the built-in help. And Kody? He is a player too. Always bellowing commands, never doing any actual work. At one move, he convinced the children to assist in the unpacking by calling a pretend family meeting. 10 minutes at Robin's disorganized house, and the other clans departed. Decorations still intact, pantry full, to nothing was prepared. But still, she demanded everyone else pull their weight, all while she had 3 older children and a nanny to do her bidding. When there were parties or holidays involved, Robin hardly joined in. While Mary, Christine, and the adolescent girls did the cooking, decorating, and making of memories, Robin merely desired the applause, without the show. And when it became difficult, cue the tears, cue the mystery illness, cue the bailing out. And the kitchen? Don't make me laugh. Kody once boasted that she was too pretty to cook. Translation? She can't cook and doesn't care to. Their takeout-laden fridge speaks volumes. Robin even asserted that she couldn't manage more children because her dream boutique was too stressful. Yet, somehow, she managed to have the time to prevent Mary from returning to school. Why? Because she needed assistance. Assistance with what? Shopping? Putting Christmas lights on the house? Being loved while others covered? Even when Mary suffered a skiing injury or the family had funerals to attend, Robin couldn't be bothered. But you can bet she managed to make time for decor, errands, or retail therapy. Priorities, right? And this is the crux of it all. Robin and Kody create the mess, then demand everyone else sweep it up. They desire the loyalty, the service, the adoration, but not the accountability. Again and again, they sit at the eye of the hurricane playing victim, while everyone else drowns. Prior to Robin, Mary had been Kody's favorite, and that favoritism created long-standing tension that never truly healed. The truth? Much of what they all resented Mary for stemmed from Kody's manipulation from the very start. Even Janelle mentioned it in the joint book that the wives wrote early on in the series. And in bonus footage, she describes how Kody would target the original wives in order to make himself and Robyn look blameless, even back then. Mary? She's right to criticize Kody's hypocrisy, but every now and then, it would be better for her to call his bluff and leave him hanging instead of falling for his emotional manipulation, such as when Robyn wouldn't let Mary visit the kids and then played dumb when Mary chose to relocate, or when Kody wouldn't care if Mary left, then turned around on her when she actually did pull back. Mixed signals are Kody's specialty. One moment he's telling Mary to woo him. The next he's stating reconciliation is impossible. Classic emotional manipulation. And while he's speaking in circles, his actions shout loud and clear. He's playing games with her heart. Janelle, however, has the strength of character to cut through it. She gives Kody's shots the eye roll they deserve. And sincerely, many wish Mary would do the same. Instead of chasing crumbs of affection, picture her shutting the door on him altogether. And here's the thing to really consider. If Robyn ever does become an ex-wife, Kody will probably nearly certainly twist everything around to try to pin it all on her. There's no loyalty in Kody's playbook. There is only self-preservation. That's probably why we're seeing Kody spend more time with Mary this season. Not because he's changed, but because she's the only wife still willing to film with him. The rest of his scenes are just Robyn and a few of the kids. And that's not enough to carry a show. It's strategic, not sincere. You can get extra footage from this season on Hulu and Philo, and I'd love to hear your opinion. Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, and lots of love to you all.